Welcome to People, Power, and Politics. Hard talk, riveting interviews, community updates, in-depth analysis. That's People, Power, and Politics. We tell it to you as it is. No holds barred. You are the people, you have the power. We bring you the politics. To listen to our show, be a guest, or to advertise, visit www.pppradio.nyc. That's www.pppradio.nyc.
Welcome to People, Power, and Politics, where we explore the forces shaping our democracy, communities, and leadership. I am your host, Pearl Phillip, and today we are joined by a seasoned political strategist and communications expert, James Christopher, former press and communications director for the Brooklyn Democratic Party. Mr. Christopher has recently launched his own firm, James Christopher Communications, Inc., and brings with him a wealth of experience from the campaign trail to the press room. Today, we'll take a look into Mr. Christopher's journey from inside the party to independent consulting, discuss lessons from the races he's worked on, and get his insight into the current political landscape, including the upcoming mayoral race and what voters and candidates alike should be paying attention to. Welcome. Such a pleasure to have you with us.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
All right. So, from the party to private practice, what inspired you to leave your role as press and communications director of the Brooklyn Democratic Party and start your own firm, James Christopher Communications, Inc.?
I would say it's a little less inspiration and a little more bit opportunity. I was fortunate enough to have gotten a lot of various freelance requests, both from political candidates and, in the private and nonprofit sector.
Mhm.
And it ended up becoming so many that, I felt like I couldn't do, but I wouldn't be fair to either side to do both these roles. And, everything I do, I want to do 100%
Right.
with, delivering the best results. And it became an inspiration because, I'd always dreamed of opening my own company someday. I didn't expect it to be right now, but
What better
I'm very
time, right?
excited about it. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So let's take a peep behind the curtains of campaigns. Having run and advised on several political campaigns, what are some of the most common mistakes you see candidates or their teams make, especially at the local level?
I would say at the very local level, I'm saying like with district leaders and city council, I would say that a mistake is not sticking to your message and instead just purely following, what the polls say or what some consultants are telling you. Because as a lot of recent races have shown us, the polls are not always right, and you want to be your authentic self. I think most voters in New York City and voters in general are savvy enough to tell that when you're being inauthentic. And if you're really in it to make a change and make a difference, you are going to want to stick with your actual values and what you want to do versus just, changing with the tide based on whatever is popular at the time. And I've seen that a lot in interviews and things like that where people, certain candidates might get tripped up because they said something before and then they've changed their message and
Right.
it, you just want to be authentic as possible. Um, While of course, keeping in mind that you're there to serve the people.
Right. And that I think is very important. There to serve the people
Yeah.
and being authentic.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So, you spoke about, messaging before and your platform and issues and being yourself and sticking to what you stand for. when we look at messaging that moves people, what role does strategic communication play in the outcome of a political campaign? And how do you tailor messaging to resonate with diverse voter bases in Brooklyn and beyond?
Yeah, so I think it all revolves around communication. Whether, the communication, that term can be so broad, and campaign involves everything from doing social media ads to TV spots to doing interviews to sending out mailers. Um, and I think, what resonates is a consistent message that keeps the candidate's voice or your voice consistent. And if also consistency doesn't mean it has to be the same for every single person you talk to.
Mhm.
There's different groups who communicate in different ways. So for instance, if you're doing a outreach to seniors versus youth voters, it's going to be different. But the core messaging should be emulate your values. I think what really resonates is speaking to what each group needs, and and by saying what they need, I'm talking about more of like their day-to-day issues. There's some candidates and people who tend to get themselves wrapped up in a lot of bigger issues that sort of go beyond what people care about on the day-to-day. Like, I know, especially in Brooklyn, everybody cares about, can I get my kid into a safe school? Am I going to be able to afford rent and pay my bills? And am I going to be able to possibly buy a house or pass my house down to the next generation? Um, and that's the type of stuff that resonates with everybody. You just have to strategic communications means you're choosing how to pick out of those needs and reach out to different groups based on what they want and how you're going to deliver and actually deliver.
That's some really good
Yeah.
sage advice there.
Yeah. Thank you.
So you're very welcome. So let's look at the big one, the
Uh-huh.
mayor race
Yeah.
and beyond. Well, the mayor race. As someone plugged into the pulse of New York City politics, what's your take on the upcoming mayor's race? Are there key dynamics of voter sentiments that have been overlooked?
Well, yeah. I mean, a big one is the Mamdani win in the Democratic primary. That's a huge example of supposed sentiments being overlooked. Everybody thought Cuomo was going to just win in a landslide. It was almost, a lot of people took it as a given that he was going to win. And clearly that's not what actually resonated with the people. And that's I think in the general election, a lot of the independent candidates are starting to, I guess, wisen up on this or change their strategy a little bit, because they're realizing that you have to, a lot of it is you need to be really grassroots and be out there talking to all these different groups.
Authentic and resonate, as you mentioned
Yeah,
before.
yeah. And also, actually be out there and really meeting with people. Yeah.
So, what's your advice for the next generation, although you're pretty young yourself, for young political hopefuls and grassroots organizations looking to make their mark? What advice do you have, particularly in today's complex media and political climate?
Well, I would say if you are just starting out and you want to make your mark, there are plenty of opportunities where you don't have to do this expensive campaign or necessarily even run for a, a higher office. Yeah, for instance, in Brooklyn, there's district leaders, and not not surprisingly, not that many people know about this. But for each assembly district in Brooklyn, there's two district leaders that represent it. Now, this is an unpaid position, but it's also a what you could view as a kickstart. And it's a lot of the people who are district leaders there are they are successful in their own regards, and they view this as an extension of that to help the community. And if you're young and you're looking to get involved, there's opportunities like that and community boards as well.
Mhm.
And depending on how young we're talking, there's also volunteering.
Okay.
I would just like to add that, I got my start volunteering, and
Okay.
it was knocking on doors, asking for signatures, and I I thought it was a little bit useless at the time. But looking back, I really did end up learning a lot, because when people see that you're eager to be involved and you actually want to help, they will give you opportunities. So, when I started volunteering, they eventually gave me opportunities to do writing on social media and do some editing for speeches. And, it was an opportunity I wouldn't have gotten elsewhere. And yeah, I would say that, and also just be having being making sure you express gratitude to anybody who opens doors for you.
That's very good advice. Let's look at politics in Brooklyn, which has become a changing landscape. Brooklyn's political terrain has evolved significantly over the past decade. What changes have you observed in the borough's political power structure, voter expectations, or party dynamics?
Well, I would say that it's always been a variety of different opinions. I think it's the city's biggest borough and most diverse borough, and I know the Brooklyn Democratic Party is one of the largest Democratic county organizations, not just in New York, but in the entire nation.
Oh, wow.
And with New Yorkers being so highly opinionated, like, you're going to get a lot of different views, and they're not all necessarily going to agree with each other. And in working with the party, I've learned that there's a lot more views that can unite us versus divide us. You can look for commonalities, and I think overall in Brooklyn, despite there being changes, such as one example is a shift in some places to further to the left. And I think between all these groups, they all want a safer Brooklyn, and they all want a more affordable Brooklyn. They all want better quality of life. Um, they might have some disagreements on how to get there and how to achieve that, but they all want the same results. Um, and I think one of the biggest changes I've noticed over the years working with the Brooklyn Democratic Party and just on my own is that the far left has gained a lot more legitimacy. You see it in the mayor's race too. Um, and all people are starting to recognize sometimes that it's the formidable force, whether you agree with them or not.
All right, so let's switch gears a little bit and talk about your firm, James Christopher Communications Inc. Let's look at the vision behind the firm. Are there any particular issues, candidates, or communities you are passionate about helping elevate through your work?
Yeah, yeah. So, I'm doing some city council races, and beyond that, and I I'm a Democrat, and I'm doing Democratic candidates, and I'm also open to independent candidates that fit sort of the blueprint of the traditional Democratic narrative.
No Republicans?
No, no, no.
I had
Sorry to
to
say,
ask.
yeah. And also in terms of like, the private sector and nonprofit sector, a big, issue of mine and something I've started turning to opportunity is the disabled community and disability advocacy groups. Um, I have a few clients like that who necessarily they don't necessarily get their voices heard, and they don't government is incredibly complex to navigate.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's just getting an individual connected to the right resource, or if it's a group, making sure they are able to get their opinion in the media.
All right, so can you share a little bit about the person, the man, James Christopher?
Yeah, yeah. Happy to share. I have always, I guess, at my core base, I've always been into communications.
Mhm.
Ever since I was little, I was just reading books nonstop, and it turned into, when I went to school, having to write all the time, and I always found it not just I guess, my favorite subject, but I actually found it interesting and enjoyed doing it, especially, writing stories and stuff that connected with people. Um, and when I went to school at Siena College to do a writing major, a lot of people said, especially because it was during the recession,
Mhm.
a lot of people asked me what I was doing. Like, if they said I was a little crazy, or what was I thinking? But I guess it's something that I believe in myself about it, and I think at my core, I think I'm really hard. It's like a combination of both hard work and skill, and I'd say it's more of it is hard work.
Mhm.
um, because there are a lot of people who want to do communications, especially when it comes to the writing aspect, and it's I think it's you have a certain amount of innate skill, but there's also, you can learn a lot and build on it a lot by working and learning from people.
All right, great. So, how can one learn more about your company, James Christopher Communications Inc.? Would you like to share your website, contact information?
Yeah, yeah, sure. So my website is james-christopher.com, and I am also on LinkedIn and Twitter, and I welcome, anyone to reach out to me, whether it's just a talk or learn more about my services.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So that's a wrap on today's conversation with James Christopher. His journey from party insider to independent strategist offers a valuable lens into the machinery of local politics and the power of effective messaging. As we approach the next election cycle, voices like his remind us that the game is not just about who runs, but how they connect, organize, and inspire. Be sure to follow People, Power, and Politics for more interviews at the intersection of leadership and change. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and remember, democracy is not a spectator sport. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
People, Power, and Politics. Hard talk, riveting interviews, community updates, in-depth analysis. That's People, Power, and Politics. We tell it to you as it is. No holds barred. You are the people, you have the power. We bring you the politics. To listen to our show, be a guest, or to advertise, visit www.pppradio.nyc. That's www.pppradio.nyc.